Hello everyone, welcome back to another wonderful episode of From the Margins. I'm Violet.
And I'm Connor.
And we are your co-host in this lovely adventure into podcast land.
From the Margins.
From the Margins.
Yes.
Yep, it's the best name we could come up with.
This is my happy voice.
Connor, why are you using a happy voice?
Because today's lesson, or theme, or moral, or objective is happy.
Ooh, I like that. I am really happy about that theme. But in a less robotic sense, let's explain a little bit more. Today, we're going to talk about happy things because everybody's really down with COVID-19. Not everybody's dealing with the quarantine very well. I have my own issues with it, granted. Today, we're going to try to talk about the positives that have been associated with being indoors for so long. I know that most of us have had to entirely readjust our lives and put some parts of them on hold. Connor, what have you been doing to maintain your mental health and, keep positive and happy during this entire outbreak shenanigan?
I haven't.
Wonderful.
I'm going crazy.
Wonderful.
Just kidding. I'm working from home, so I'm spending a lot of time on the computer making lesson plans for my kids. Doing a lot more cooking, I guess.
Ew.
Yeah. I live in New York City, which is like under an almost complete shutdown. So it's like everything closes at 8 o'clock and you can't go to restaurants. You can only order out. But I don't want to do that, so I'm just cooking and eating my own food.
I understand. Denver's in a similar thing where they will, we have a stay-at-home order, and we have no sit-in restaurants that are still active. It's almost exclusively carry-out.
Right. Actually, I believe most of the United States is at that level, if I'm not mistaken.
Save for a few states in the South, I think most places really are.
Oh, okay. So my situation isn't actually that different.
Right.
Besides the fact that, we're red on the map of infections.
That's true. New York is getting just pretty much swept right now.
Right. I hope everybody remembers me fondly after the apocalypse.
I'll always remember you.
Thank you, Violet.
But in the process of that remembering, you talked about cooking new things and getting more into cooking. Has there been anything else that you've been doing to distract yourself in a positive way?
When the first stay-at-home order came out, my roommates decided that we were going to spend more time together since we all have to live together anyway.
Ooh.
One of my roommates, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, she passed due to complications from COVID. But before she died...
They're not going to know you're kidding.
Just kidding. She went back to Utah to escape. But yeah, she instituted these rituals of family dinners and movie nights and game nights. And even though she's gone now, my other roommate and I have kept up the schedule just so that we don't go crazy.
That is lovely.
I mean, I'm doing fine because I'm an introvert and I spend all day talking to kids on the computer anyway. But he's a major extrovert and he's going crazy working from home. Every other night I watch a movie with him so he has someone to talk to and he can experience culture.
Connor, I love that you guys are keeping that tradition alive, and it sounds like it's been really positive for the both of you. I do want to circle back for 1 second and just mention that if nobody knew that you were a tutor, the fact that you spend most of your days talking to kids on the internet doesn't sound too good.
Who said I was a tutor? I'm a cam boy. Just kidding. This is too dark. Okay.
To get that income, however we can get it, frankly.
I worked as a tutor, which, if you didn't listen to our first episode, you wouldn't know, I suppose. When the outbreak first started, we switched to an online thing that coincided with the closing of the public schools.
How has that been, switching to a digital workspace instead of a physical one?
It was a really rough transition, but now I'm at a point where I prefer the work I do to prepare for the classroom. I learned how to, an easier way to compile the materials for class. I learned a great new way on how to structure a classroom for maximum engagement. These kids, they're as young as first grade and as old as seventh grade, and they do not have attention spans. So I had to dig in really deep and learn how to make the stuff as engaging as possible, and it's really made me a better teacher in the long run.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, but however, as much as I've learned, I would still rather be working in the physical space because it's easier to reach out and hit the kid if they're misbehaving.
I understand. That's the same thing with me in therapy. My therapist could reach out and just pop me one good one, and then I'd know not to do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm also doing therapy over the phone now too, but that hasn't been much of a problem.
It's still not. It's still very weird to me. I'm not a fan.
Oh, I just pretend I'm talking to you.
Aw. We'd probably get a lot more traffic on these episodes if we just broadcasted your therapy sessions.
Oh, probably. I'm really anti-capitalist on Maine.
This positivity episode's going weird places.
So, Violet, what are you doing to remain positive indoors?
If I'm being honest, I'm trying to be as productive as possible, but it's been really hard because, to be again honest on Maine, the past couple months have been kind of atrocious in various ways in my personal life. To leave a very unfair cliffhanger, I will say that I started 2020 with one fewer organs than I was expecting to, and I'm dealing with the financial bills of like that. Also, just trying to keep everything going. But in order to combat a lot of the stress that goes along with that, I've been trying to keep myself busy as much as possible, and that's included catching up on reading, catching up on writing, and I do have a few projects that I'm very excited that are nearing completion. Hopefully I can give more details about my writing projects in the near future whenever they're fully done. I have also been trying to discover new music. I'm always looking for new music, and I've found a lot of new artists recently thanks to you and Zach. One that I can think of off the top of my head is Orville Peck.
Oh, yes.
I will be the first to admit, country western music, not a fan in the slightest. Orville Peck, I don't mind. He is, that is actually really kind of a bop.
I think he's like one of the best male vocalists now.
I don't know why, but he's really, there's something intoxicating about his songs.
I hope that his later work is a lot more dynamic, because I think a lot of the music and the structure of his songs are boring right now. Mm-hmm. But his voice is just so good that I keep listening.
His songs, as they are very formulaic, but the formula works. If he's going to stay in the limelight that he's starting to build for himself, he is going to need to be a little bit more dynamic, but I love what he's bringing to the table right now.
The Twitter profile Astro Poets did his album based on the signs.
Ew.
And Scorpio got Hope to Die, his best song.
I like that song.
So, yep. The Cancer song, I believe, is... I forgot. You keep talking and I'll look it up.
All right, will do. So I guess I could also say part of keeping busy also means keeping some semblance of structure in your life. For me, I typically need a schedule. I need things to look forward to. I need things to prepare for. And one of the ways I've been able to fulfill that in my life is by starting a new diet in the middle of all this COVID stuff. Because again, with the past few months being not too positive, I gained a little bit of weight. But now I'm actually rebounding and losing weight because I've started counting calories again during COVID. And as much as I thought it'd be a hindrance, it's actually made life kind of better right now because it makes me feel like I have control over my day-to-day, where I didn't feel like that otherwise.
Right. It's good to have like that structure at least. Some boundaries to work within.
Exactly.
All right, so the Cancer song off the Pony album is Roses Are Falling.
I'm trying to remember that one. I'm having trouble.
Roses are falling.
Aw.
Roses are falling for you.
Connor, we're going to get copyright striked because your voice is just too good.
Thank you. I have no idea how that sounds.
If it sounded like what I heard, it was actually pretty solid.
That's secretly the only reason I like him. Is because it's finally, here's a singer who sings in a register I'm comfortable with.
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. Other than movie nights, have there been anything else to really distract you during all this COVID nonsense?
Well, Keith does have this rule that every movie we watch can't be something I've already seen, which sucks because I love rewatching movies I've already seen, especially if I'm watching them with somebody who hasn't seen them.
Right. At least one person can't have seen it.
Right. Like I wanted to show Keith A Simple Favor.
Yay, like episode 3.
Yeah, because I'm just dying to watch that movie again.
I'd love to watch that movie
And then whenever we're scrolling through Netflix, I always see a movie. I'm like, oh my God, that movie is so good. And he'll be like, well, we can't watch it because you've already seen it. And I'm like, no. But he has pushed me to watch like some new stuff. Like I finally got around to watching Snowpiercer, which is not my favorite Bong Joon-ho movie by a mile.
What is your favorite Bong Joon-ho movie?
Okja.
Oh yeah, I forgot he did that.
Ugh, I love that one so much. Parasite is also really good, but Okja is my favorite.
Okja for Best Picture, retroactively.
Yes.
Have you seen any other movies with him that you would recommend?
Troop Zero on Amazon was really good. Where'd You Go, Bernadette was cute.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like the female Walter Mitty movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot Walter Mitty existed.
Yeah, I don't even remember it at all. I just know that it's like both of them deal with people who go to like the South Pole.
I remember liking it, but I don't remember why I liked it.
I mean, Where'd You Go, Bernadette was like cute and has Kristen Wiig in it. And is it Cate Blanchett who plays Bernadette?
I can't remember.
Anyway, she's phenomenal. But yeah, it was just cute. Just all I can say. And
Nice.
There's another. Oh, The Farewell. With Aquafina. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh, I need to see that.
Oh, I cried buckets.
Oh, crying bucket.
Yeah.
I would really do well to cry buckets right now.
I know. It's really been good to like find cathartic movies because I'm just such a sad boy when I'm inside.
Just like every Scorpio, secret sad boys.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Billie Eilish because it took me like an entire year to finally like get it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm trapped inside, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll listen to Billie Eilish now.
I like her, and I'm not afraid to admit I've liked her from the beginning. I objectively like her music. Well, subjectively. I subjectively like her music.
Right, like I think there's an artistry to it.
Right.
My first thought was that it was like too boring. And then my second thought was like, it's too edgy. But then I really dug in and I'm like, oh wow, this is good. There's an art to it. You know, there's like some stuff.
Not to be hipster on Maine, but have you listened to any of her stuff that came out like right before she blew up? Like,
No, of course, yeah. I discovered her for her EP, not for her album.
wonderful. I'm glad. Because there's a lot of quality there that people have really glossed over.
Well, yeah, and that's why I disagreed with her winning, like, best debut, because, like, she's been releasing music since 2016.
Right.
But I guess you're a debut artist when your album comes out.
I guess so. So, there's a few games that I would ever call some of my favorites. And frankly, it might be a little bit sad that, like, I'm a little bit sad we're talking about this after the video game episode. But I found one of my new favorite games thanks to Connor. I knew about the franchise, and I knew about, like, the different games, and I watched the original Abridged series, but Lord help me, the Danganronpa games, specifically Danganronpa 2,
Yes.
I really loved that game.
Yes.
I had a wonderful time. It was quirky. It was fun. It was kind of like, it had that same feeling of like making friends at camp. Like, except all the characters are really colorful. I'm a huge sucker for characterization, and every one of those characters felt fully fleshed out and like they were their own person, and I was excited every time I got an opportunity to talk to them and learn more.
And then they kill each other.
Connor's right. Part of that game is that they end up having to be pit against one another for survival, and they have to figure out who they can trust, who they can't trust, how to navigate this island that they're trapped on where they're forced to kill. It's very strange because it wobbles back and forth between being deadly serious and also just a really good fun time, like teenage comedy.
Yeah, it's a fine line, but they walk it with grace.
They do. They have like drawn that line themselves.
I remember when I discovered Danganronpa, not to be hipster or anything, but like back in 2013.
When it first came out?
Maybe it was 2014 actually. No, it was 13. Yeah, it was summer 2013. It hadn't even come to North America yet, but the first game was just being adapted into an anime. So I discovered the anime because like Tumblr was talking about it, and only 3 episodes had come out by that time, and I'm like, well, I have to know what happens next. So I found a Let's Play of the original game with like a fan translation, and I just read all of it, and I was like, ah!
It really is just such a cute and fun time. Like, I will say it will break your heart, though, if you get attached to the characters like I did.
Yeah.
Because you put so much of your faith and you put so much of yourself in these characters, and it's like, then whenever you pick one or two favorites mentally, even if you don't tell yourself you're doing it, you will. When one of your favorites dies, it is the most heartbreaking thing in the world.
Rest in peace, my faves.
Rest in peace.
My waifus.
The worst feeling in the world is when your first favorite kills your second favorite. I experienced that firsthand, and I had to call you. I was like, Connor, I can't take this.
I don't think I've ever had a fave be a killer. All of my faves were victims.
How does that feel?
Depressing, because then I go from like just respecting a character to now hating them because they killed my favorite.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my favorite didn't change they were still my favorite.
I'm happy for that. Another one where it's like something that I loved a long time ago. It came back to my attention. And again, it has to do with an anime adaptation. Back in 2016, when I had just graduated Winthrop and I had no job prospects and no idea what my future was going to be, I became obsessed with this webcomic called Tower of God. Ugh. It was so good. April 1st, the anime premiered on Crunchyroll as an original series.
Ew.
In anticipation for that, I read the entire first season of the webcomic, and I just fell in love all over again, and I'm going to go the distance, and I'm going to try to catch up again. Because in recent years, I had fallen off, and it had just like kept updating without me. And the story gets very convoluted as it goes. Like they just keep adding more characters and more stakes. And like the lore just keeps getting upended and expanded upon.
Gotcha.
And it got to the point where it's like reading week to week or taking a month or several months off. And if you sit back too long, it's almost impossible to pick up where you left off because one, you forget where you left off, and two, you have to like carry a giant toolbox full of information in the back of your head because it's like the world has its own like physics. It has its own metaphysics. And it has its own vocabulary. And you have to remember like how the world works.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, I'm also like a huge Homestuck fan. And that has its own problem with like, it's its own world with its own vernacular and rules, internal logic. And so it's just so hard to like carry that with you. Especially if you like take a long break from it and you return, you don't remember who the characters are or what they know. Because part of the drama is like, there's so many secrets and some characters know their secrets and you know they know those secrets, but other characters don't know those same secrets. And you're like, wait, does he know that she's X and that's Y and whatever? And it just got too much.
I understand.
So I just had to start all over from the very beginning and work my way back.
As somebody who grew up very like religiously devoted to the Kingdom Hearts franchise, I completely understand that problem. By the time I played 3, I'm like, I don't remember what the fuck's happening in any of these. So I had to like go back and replay 2, and I was like, oh, I got it now. Thank you.
Ugh, right. Well, what I'm really excited about is like now that Tower of God is getting an anime, it's going to be much more accessible to a bunch of people. And I'm going to finally be able to watch like fans react and discuss it. And I'm finally going to be able to be part of these message boards.
Yay.
Because when I discovered it, I think it started back in like 2012 or 14 or something. Because I was late to the game from a reader's perspective when I finally started. So it's like all of the conversations were about things that were like currently happening. And there was nobody talking about the chapter I was currently reading.
Gotcha.
So I felt like alone. But now that the anime is coming out, it's going to bring a lot of people who don't know a lot. And if you are interested in the anime, please, please, please do not spoil anything for yourself because the plot twists are crazy and there's a really toxic aspect to the fandom that we can't get into, but I'll tell you about privately if you're interested, Vi.
Oh, I'm absolutely interested.
But it's a massive spoiler, and fans being who they are, they can't let it go, and they're going to tell everybody about this huge spoiler at the end of season 1.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Why does like some of the best franchises have to have such toxic fans?
I think it's the specific nature of like this being a webcomic being read by like people who seek out webcomics.
That's fair. Webcomics.
I don't want to typecast anybody, but like, you know, the kind of person who like keeps track of like shonen fantasy. This is like a Korean and their comics are called manhwa.
Right.
But like, it's very similar to like the Japanese shonen manga, like all the tropes. Like this gets compared to One Piece a lot. I've never read One Piece, but like I get the sense that it's like large cast, a world, adventures and stuff.
One Piece is currently the longest running anime in history.
Is it still ongoing?
It is still ongoing, and I think they have over 800 episodes.
Do you want to know the only reason I never watched One Piece?
Do tell.
Because I think the main character is ugly.
Ooh, eat shit, Monkey D. Luffy.
Yeah, I just can't take him seriously, and I don't want to read a series about him.
See, I completely understand. The reason I've never gotten into One Piece is because it's just too big, frankly. It's so massive, and I want to go on that journey. I love adventure anime. I love adventure stories. I tried watching it. I honestly did. I got 4 episodes in, and then I'm like, I've not even captured like 1% of the show yet, in any capacity. Like, it's just too big. It is too big.
That's too much, man.
That's too much, man. You mentioned one web series that I know personally you're a fan of, and you mentioned that because I know you're a fan of it because I remember having many discussions with you whenever we lived together. Connor, would you like to talk about Homestuck?
You have to ask the question. You have to ask the meme question.
What is Homestuck?
Oh, no, she asked the question. Okay.
I didn't know that was the meme question. I was like, what is the most logical question here? I don't know.
LOL, what is Homestuck? Thank you for asking. Honestly, that's too much to get into.
Well, seeing as everybody else is kind of stuck at home, it seems like an appropriate topic.
Oh my god, Facebook status. Now that you're all stuck at home, why don't you read a story about these kids who are practicing responsible social distancing?
Look at that. There you go.
Because literally, at least in the first like 50% of the comic, nobody's actually talking to each other face to face. They only interact through web chat clients.
Lord.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a text-based adventure. So you see pictures and you read text, and it started off as like this very postmodern experiment where it's like, can we tell a story only through organic like text boxes? So there's like the video game prompts where it's like written in the second person as if you are a player controlling a game.
Mm-hmm.
And then you like click on things to learn about them, and it's like the plot is revealed through these message commands, and the characters talk to each other through chat clients, like through instant messaging. So it's like you read their instant messaging, and the creator, Andrew Hussey, puts so much detail into like making sure every character has their own typing quirk and their own unique grammar.
Ew.
So it's like, even though you can't like see them talk and you don't hear their voices and you don't know like what their accent might be, they each have a unique typing style.
I like that.
Some people are prone to the exact same like pattern of error in their typos, and I'm just like, that attention to detail is mind-boggling.
I like that though. That shows really, really like so much technique and thought that goes into the character writing.
And I think I'm like a multimedia messiah, or like at least a prophet. Not a messiah, that was too much credit. I'm like a prophet, like I can see the future.
Oh my
because it's like over this past summer 2019. Oh, so that was like almost a year ago now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyway, over summer 2019, I was like, you know what? I miss Homestuck. Let's reread it. So I reread all of Homestuck, and not 2 months after I finished it, did they like release a sequel. And now they're releasing a Homestuck 2. And I'm like, how did I know? I'm just like that tapped into the collective unconscious.
Connor, I will give you full credit. That is 100% true, because I remember thinking, wow, what are the odds whenever I heard about Homestuck 2 coming out? Because I knew you just got done rereading it.
Oh, and you know how I discovered there was a Homestuck 2?
Because of me?
No.
Oh, I told somebody.
You might have wait. No, the reason I found out about Homestuck 2 was because of an Arby's Twitter post.
Are you serious?
The literal verified Arby's was like, oh, Homestuck's back.
Jesus. When did Arby's become a news source? Move over, Polygon. It's Arby's.
I can't believe this is the only way they're staying relevant, by like being their social media manager is like deeply entrenched in Tumblr or something.
Oh yeah, like did you see that series where they made like anime pictures with like Arby's?
Wait, I can't remember if it was Arby's or Denny's now. It was one of them.
One of the two also is really famous for like using anime taglines in their advertising on Twitter.
I know Denny's does a lot of like shit posting with their images.
I know their Tumblr posts especially.
Right, exactly. Like Denny's is on Tumblr.
Yeah, Denny's is like that's the only place they're really thriving.
Arby's, I know, also has like this parody account. It's not run by them, but there's like this parody account on Twitter called Nihilist Arby's.
Ew.
And sometimes I'm like, wait, did I think think that the actual Arby's did something when it was really like this parody account called Nihilist Arby's? Or was it actually Arby's that told me that Homestuck 2 was a thing?
Gotcha.
I guess I should catch up on Homestuck 2 because I let that one sit and accumulate for a while because it only comes out once a month.
I mean, I think that's wise, though, because it's such a, like, again, this is coming from an outsider. I have tried to read Homestuck, but I've never really gotten far into it. Coming from an outsider, it seems like the kind of series that you sit and you binge, so you do want to let it, like, accumulate a little bit.
Especially since it's updating once a month in giant chunks. Like, they're releasing a chapter a month. Homestuck 2 is a sequel to the first Homestuck, so it's like, I don't have to keep track of the vernacular anymore. Like, the logic of the world has already been fully explained to me in the source material. This is purely plot additions now.
Nice.
So
I like that. So I can imagine what you're going to be between Tower of God and Homestuck 2. It sounds like you might have your next couple months planned out one way or the other.
how many pages is Tower of God? Because it's still actively updating. I'm going to have to look it up on my phone because I'm currently on like page 150 something, and I think there's only like 500 or fewer pages.
Gotcha.
So I could actually catch up pretty quickly if I read a lot a day. So what are something you want to share your thoughts on now?
I guess I would say one of the things that have really made me happiest is that I kind of like the fact that we're all having to stop and take 10 minutes and analyze ourselves. We've never really had to sit down and think about who we are as people. We've never had to think about our hobbies. If anything, our hobbies have just been things that we do in between having to go to work. But myself included in this, it feels like everybody's at least understanding themselves a bit more in all of this. Granted, that's easy to say for me because I'm not doing well financially. I'll get that out of the gate first of all. But
Support us on Patreon.
always, that would be wonderful. But I don't know. In between the financial problems, in between everything else that's going on in the national circuit, I could just be rambling, but it almost feels like we're taking time to figure out what it is we like and what it is we actually do when we're home alone with our thoughts. While I feel like that is going to actually increase a spike, that's going to cause a spike in mental health problems, it also does feel kind of nice because we're not really being moved by the drumbeat of commercialism. Like, for once, capitalism is going to have to sort of sit down and be on the back. It's going to have to sit on the bench while we get some other stuff straightened out first.
I 100% agree.
Oh, good, because I was so afraid I was rambling and not making sense.
No. Oh my God, I totally agree with you. Especially when my whole thing is like the idea of like essential labor, right? And it turns out that so many of the jobs that we valued, like financially, like the people who got paid the most, the people that we like valorized, are the ones who were suddenly deemed non-essential and you can work from home or get laid off even.
Right.
And the people that society is completely falling apart without are like janitors, retail workers, food industry people, like all the people that society like ignored. They're the ones that are like deemed essential and they have to keep going to work and we rely on them.
Exactly. Between healthcare and retail, these are things that we just don't always think about as being essential, like you said, but now we are getting to see them exalted in the limelight.
Right. And it's just not to be like fully automated luxury communism on Maine, but like just think about how we are in a post-industrial society where we easily manufacture enough resources for everybody to survive and thrive. And we just spend so much time wasting our resources overproducing just to justify the number of jobs that is needed for people to have a livable income. Money's not real. It's just a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, we have enough houses for everybody to have a house. We make so much food that we throw the majority of it away. Oh my God. It makes me so angry. And I'm really hoping that the rest of society is having the same reckoning that I had to have like a few years ago when I was radicalized.
I understand. And that's really I really am very curious. And I mean this in a happy way, in a positive way, but I really am curious that whenever life does eventually calm down and return to what it was pre-COVID, what is the world going to be like? What are we going to take away from all this? What lessons are we actually going to hold on to and remember? Or are we just going to go back to the way we were?
The thought of just going back to business as usual is literally so depressing.
It kind of is. This feels like we've entered a new reality altogether. Even more so than 2016 did, kinda.
I was on the phone with my analyst and I was just like, I can't wait for this to end. And then suddenly I had this visceral reaction in my gut and I said, no, I don't want this to end. I can't go back. I can't go back to the way things are. I simply cannot.
As frustrating as it is, and as much as I'm honestly still terrified about myself and a lot of other people out there struggling, I kind of agree. Now that I've adjusted to this new reality, part of me is like, it's just going to be that much more difficult to adjust back.
I miss seeing my kids in person, but I don't miss riding the train.
Oh, I cannot imagine living in Manhattan, how much time you have saved every day.
Yeah, like, I have so much more free time just because I'm not commuting 3 hours a day.
That's true. Well, Connor?
Yes, Violet?
I think this has been an overall pretty positive episode.
I know. I love that it got so dramatic at the end.
Hey, we're leaving people with a thought-provoking idea. Before we go, I do just want to put out the call. Everybody needs to think about how you can make this COVID crisis a little bit easier for yourself, your family, and those around you. Try to take something positive away from this experience, even in the darkest moments.
Love you guys.
Love you too. Thank you for joining, and we hope that you enjoyed. Until next time, I'm Violet.
I'm Connor.
Bye.